We live inside a massive, invisible machine that translates everything we are into numbers. Every morning you wake up to an alarm that slices your time into billable increments. You open your laptop to see your worth calculated in key performance indicators, or KPIs. Your productivity is graphed, your attention is itemized, and your labor is bartered away for a digital balance on a bank screen. We accept this as the baseline reality of the modern world. We assume this is how advanced societies function. But at the turn of the 20th century, a German philosopher and sociologist looked at the rapidly growing metropolis of Berlin and saw something deeply terrifying taking root. His name was Georg Simmel. In his 1900 masterpiece, The Philosophy of Money, Simmel realized that money wasn't just a convenient economic tool for buying bread or paying rent. It was an aggressive psychological force. Money, Simmel argued, actively rewires the human mind. It functions as a radical, relentless equalizer, a psychological solvent that dissolves the rich, messy, qualitative differences of our human existence and turns them into a single, cold, quantitative abstraction. To understand how deeply this transformation goes, we have to look at Simmel's specific core argument regarding how money creates value. In the ancient world, things had intrinsic value based on their concrete physical properties. A piece of wood was valuable because it was sturdy. A dynamic painting was valuable because it was uniquely beautiful. A worker was valued for their unique, unrepeatable mastery of a craft. Value was anchored in quality, the specific, uncopyable traits of a specific thing. But Simmel points out that money performs a radical philosophical trick. It detaches value from the object itself and moves it into a pure relationship of exchange. When a coin, a paper bill, or a digital bank ledger becomes the universal medium of exchange, it strips away the specific skin of reality. Money has absolutely no substance of its own. It is an empty vessel. Yet because it can be traded for anything, it demands that everything bow to its logic. This creates what Simmel described as the total leveling of the world. Under the rule of the money economy, the world is forced through a brutal intellectual sleeve where quality is utterly crushed by quantity. When everything can be priced, everything becomes perfectly interchangeable. The unique texture of an object, the emotional weight of an interaction, or the creative depth of a project are flattened. Simmel wrote that money acts as a terrible equalizer because it expresses all qualitative differences between things in terms of how much. It asks us to believe that a beautiful ancient forest, a life-saving medical procedure, and a plastic widget are fundamentally comparable, simply because they can all be given an equivalent dollar amount. This economic structure forces a profound psychological mutation. Before money dominated human relationships, life was defined by the heart. In traditional, small-scale societies, your interactions were deeply emotional, localized, and rooted in specific, unrepeatable qualities. Cobblers didn't just sell a shoe, they crafted a specific object for a person they knew by name. But when you live in a massive metropolis driven by global finance, you are bombarded by thousands of transactions, advertisements, and superficial interactions every single day. If you reacted emotionally to all of them, your nervous system would suffer a total meltdown. To survive this relentless barrage of quantitative data, the human brain constructs the psychological armor. Simmel calls it the intellect. Unlike the emotional heart, the intellect is cold, logical, and calculating. It doesn't care about beauty, meaning, or spiritual worth. It perfectly mirrors the money economy by asking just one question: how much? This creates what Simmel famously diagnosed as the blasé attitude, a profound psychological numbness where the unique color and value of things are totally washed out. To the blasé mind, everything appears in a uniform gray hue. We stop saying things for what they are. Rather, we only see them for what they are worth on the market. Quantification doesn't only change how we value things, it changes the very speed at which we live. Simmel introduced a brilliant, terrifying insight about what he called the velocity of money. In an ancient barter-based society, life was slow because transactions had natural, stubborn friction. If you wanted to trade a cow for grain, you had to find a farmer, negotiate, transport the animal, and wait for the harvest. The physical reality of the world kept the pace of life grounded, organic, and slow. But money is pure liquidity. It dissolves all physical friction. It condenses an entire farm, a factory, or a human life into a frictionless digital credit that can be transferred across the globe in a millisecond. Simmel observed that as the velocity of money increases, the psychic tempo of the human being is forced to accelerate alongside it. Because everything can happen instantly, the system demands that everything must happen instantly. In the modern corporate workplace, you are trapped in this velocity engine. The organization is obsessed with eliminating what it calls sluggishness or latency. This is the hidden philosophy behind your overflowing message channels, the panic of an unread email, and the crushing pressure of the agile sprint. The system cannot allow you to pause, contemplate, or slow down, because a paused worker is a temporary block in the cash flow. This acceleration creates a profound psychological pathology, the shrinking of duration. Regular viewers of this channel will recognize this as the ultimate defeat of what Henri Bergson called durée, true qualitative human duration. As we explored in our video on Bergson, authentic human life isn't a series of tick marks on a clock. It's a fluid, continuous, uncopyable flow of memory and experience. But if Bergson diagnosed how we lost touch with our inner time, Simmel shows us the economic engine that stole it. Money spatializes time. It transforms Bergson's fluid duration into a line of identical, monetizable slots. It says an hour of your life is worth exactly $50, whether that hour is spent in deep creative flow or staring blankly at a wall. By forcing us to match the light-speed velocity of globalized capital, the corporate machine completely shatters our psychological duration. We live entirely in the frantic, hyper-stimulated present of the instant notification. Our nervous systems are permanently fried, kept in a state of high-alert survival mode. We think we are rushing to finish our work so we can finally relax. But Simmel and Bergson show us the truth. We are rushing simply because the monetary medium we live in is moving at light speed, and it has successfully colonized our internal sense of time. This brings us to Simmel's most profound philosophical warning, a concept he called the tragedy of culture. And it is here that Simmel's nightmare locks perfectly into the warning we saw in our video on Bergson. Simmel separated culture into two distinct competing forces: subjective culture, the development of the individual human soul, our internal wisdom, our capacity for creative joy, and our personal growth; and objective culture, the vast external things humanity creates collectively, like our advanced technology, our legal codes, our financial systems, and our great corporate bureaucracies. In a healthy world, objective culture is supposed to serve subjective culture. We build tools, companies, and economic frameworks to protect and give space to our inner lives. These systems are supposed to serve the human being. But Simmel warned that objective culture possesses a dark, predatory, autonomous drive. Because money allows our external structures to move at frictionless, accelerated speeds, objective culture grows at an exponential, terrifying rate. We are running on two fundamentally incompatible clocks. While the external objective world speeds along on electric circuity, our internal life, the realm of Bergsonian duration, is strictly bound by slow, linear, biological time. It takes a lifetime to develop deep wisdom, a decade to master an art, and months of uninterrupted presence to truly know another person. Eventually, the massive objective systems we build break completely free from our control. They develop their own autonomous logic, their own momentum, and their own cold survival instincts. The tools become the masters, and the creators become the fuel. Look at the modern global corporation through this exact lens. No single human being, not even the CEO or board of directors, fully understands or controls a multi-billion-dollar modern enterprise. The company is a giant, automated, objective monster. It demands that human beings distort their natural language into corporate jargon. It demands that we sacrifice our sleep, our relationships, our ethics, and our mental health to feed its insatiable need for quarterly growth. We built these massive organizations to secure our prosperity, but under the tragedy of culture, the individual worker is reduced to a tiny, hyper-specialized cog. You don't get to cultivate a well-rounded, beautiful soul. You are forced to become a master of a single, highly specific corporate micro-task. This is existential degradation. And it is right here that Simmel's economic tragedy crosses the line into total existential horror. Decades after Simmel published his work, the philosopher Martin Heidegger took this critique to its absolute baseline. Heidegger warned that the modern world had become dominated by a specific, dangerous technological mindset he called Dichtell, or inframing. To inframe the world means to look at everything in existence and strip away its inherent magic, dignity, and mystery. Under the gaze of inframing, a majestic mountain river is no longer an ecosystem. It is reduced to a potential source of hydroelectric power. An ancient, pristine forest is no longer a living world. It is reduced to millions of board feet of timber sitting on a shelf. Heidegger argued that the modern machine transforms the entire planet into what he called the standing reserve. We're all materials waiting to be calculated, ordered, and efficiently consumed. And what is the ultimate victory of this technological inframing? It is the corporate concept of human resources. Think about that phrase deeply. The modern corporate system does not even hide its philosophy anymore. It explicitly categorizes your creativity, your unique personality, your life force, and your finite earthly time under the exact same heading as coal, oil, or server space. You are a resource to be managed. You are a piece of the standing reserve locked inside the spreadsheet, optimized for maximum utilization and mined until your energy is completely spent. The system expands into absolute terrifying infinite complexity, while the slow inner duration of the worker undergoes a devastating permanent shrinkage. The objective machine is thriving, but the subjective human being is dying on the vine. Why do we willingly sign up for this degradation week after week? Why do we surrender our organic, Bergsonian duration to an objective machine that sees us only as a line item on a ledger? Simmel answers this with a brilliant, devastating psychological diagnosis: the means-end short circuit. In theory, money is the absolute embodiment of a means. It has no intrinsic biological value. You cannot eat a dollar bill. You cannot wear a digital bank balance to keep warm. Money is only valuable because of what it can be transformed into: freedom, security, leisure, comfort, and the space to live your life on your own terms. It is a bridge designed to take you to the actual human desires. But because money is a radical equalizer that can buy almost anything, it becomes the psychic representative of everything. And here, our brains undergo a massive, systemic illusion. Because we are forced to spend so much of our waking cognitive energy chasing the means, we suffer from a profound evolutionary misfire. We stop viewing money as a bridge, and we start viewing money and its corporate stand-ins like titles, promotions, and equity packages as the ultimate end itself. This is the psychological trap of the modern career. We tell ourselves, I will endure this toxic workplace. I will tolerate this meaningless corporate strategy. I will track these absurd KPIs. And I will sprint through endless, relentless agile cycles for just a few more years so that I can buy my freedom later. But Simmel shows us that the logic of quantification is an infinite abyss, and the wheel of acceleration has no brakes. There is no number at which the calculator brain naturally shuts off and says, "Enough, I am safe. I can live now." The means completely swallowed the ends. You spend the finest, most vibrant years of your finite earthly existence sacrificing your actual, lived freedom in the present moment to chase a bloodless abstraction that promises your freedom in a future that never arrives. You may recognize that this argument is consistent with Deleuze's concept of perpetual postponement. You are staring at the coin in the dirt while the castle crumbles on the horizon. If Georg Simmel were alive today, sitting across from you in a crowded coffee shop outside your office building, he wouldn't tell you to quit your job or to try single-handedly to overthrow global capitalism. He was too forensic a realist for that. He knew that we cannot simply step outside the massive objective culture of money that runs our world. Instead, Simmel's philosophy offers us a subtle, deeply defiant escape hatch. It is the strategy for what Simmel's close friend and contemporary Max Weber would call the structural re-enchantment of the world. Weber famously warned that modern capitalism and its obsession with bureaucratic efficiency had cast a spell of total rationalization over human life, a process he called Entsalberung, or disenchantment. Weber feared that we are trapping ourselves in the spiritless iron cage where everything is calculated, predictable, and devoid of genuine magic. But Simmel reminds us that the iron cage only handles what can be measured. The only way to save our soul from being completely dissolved by calculation and ripped apart by acceleration is to fiercely cultivate the unpayable. You have to intentionally build zones in your life that are aggressively hostile to the logic of the dollar, the clock, and the metric. You have to reclaim Bergsonian duration, rescue your existence from being a mere standing reserve, and shatter Weber's disenchantment by force. Do things that are beautifully inefficient. Spend 3 hours cooking a complex meal that could be ordered on a nap in 10 minutes. Walk through your neighborhood without tracking your steps, your pace, or your heart rate on a smartwatch. Protect the slow, stubborn, physical friction of being a biological creature. Engage in unmonetizable labor. Create things you have absolutely zero intention of selling, posting, or turning into a corporate side hustle. If you paint, write, garden, or play music, do it poorly, do it beautifully, but do it exclusively for the qualitative joy of the experience. Protect your qualitative relationships. Look at your friends and loved ones and refuse to evaluate them based on their utility, their networking potential, or what they can do for your career. Practice a radical, unconditional presence that cannot be optimized by a calendar invite. When you step inside your office tomorrow or log into your corporate network, remember the diagnosis of Simmel, Bergson, Heidegger, and Weber. The metrics they use to judge your performance are not the truth of who you are, and the frantic velocity they demand is not the rhythm of natural human existence. They are just the crude, clumsy vocabulary and furious pacing of a giant automated economic machine that doesn't know how to speak in colors, only in numbers. The finish line of the human life cannot be quantified, budgeted, or accelerated. Your value is found entirely in the messy, uncalculable quality of your unique human soul, a currency that the corporate machine can never afford to buy.